She was being called an MVP candidate less than 24 hours before the Valkyries turned her into a cautionary tale. Stick around, because tonight I'm putting numbers on the table that nobody in the mainstream WNBA media wants to talk about, and by the end of this video you'll understand exactly why one defense completely dismantled a rising star while the story barely made a ripple anywhere else. Before we get into it, if you want basketball breakdowns that actually hold every player to the same standard, no favorites, no double standards, hit that subscribe button right now. This channel exists because people are tired of certain players getting torn apart for an average night while other players get a complete pass for a genuinely bad one. So subscribe, turn on notifications, and let's get into this. Here's the setup. Olivia Miles has had a legitimately special rookie season for the Minnesota Lynx. Averaging right around 20 points a game, shooting close to 50% from the field, over 40% from three, and pushing her way into real MVP conversations. Nobody is taking that away from her. She earned every bit of that hype. But on Monday night at Target Center, the Golden State Valkyries handed her the single worst game of her entire rookie year, and I want to walk you through exactly how it happened, because the numbers are honestly rough to look at. Golden State came into this game as the lower seed, on the road, facing a Lynx team that had won 6 straight and had a real shot to clinch the number 1 seed in the playoffs that very night. Instead, the Valkyries did something no team had ever done to Minnesota all season. They beat them. Not just beat them, they held the Lynx to their lowest point total of the entire year and won by the largest margin any opponent had managed against Minnesota all season. And sitting right at the center of that collapse was Olivia Miles. Stay with me here, because the stat line is the whole story. Miles finished the night with 8 points. 3 of 12 from the field. 1 of 5 from three-point range. She committed 4 turnovers, a game high, on a night where her entire team combined to give the ball away 17 times compared to Golden State's 6. Her plus-minus was ugly. This was, by her own head coach's own words afterward, the toughest learning night of her rookie season. Here's what actually happened on the floor. From the opening tip, Golden State made it their entire game plan to take the ball out of her hands. Physical ball pressure, doubling her out of pick and rolls, forcing her into difficult shots instead of letting her get downhill and create easy looks the way she's used to. It's the exact kind of defensive attention usually reserved for the very biggest names in the league, and for one night, Miles got the full version of it. And don't think the rest of the league didn't notice, because what happened online afterward is honestly the more interesting part of this story. The moment the box score went final, fans and basketball media accounts started making the same comparison over and over. That this was Olivia Miles getting a taste of the exact kind of defensive attention Caitlin Clark deals with on a nightly basis, and for one night, it completely buried her production. One respected basketball media voice called it flatly the worst game he'd ever personally watched her play. Another pointed out that not every player can handle that level of defensive pressure applied for 40 minutes straight, and Miles clearly hadn't seen it like that before. Here's the part that should genuinely make you think, and it's the reason I'm even making this video. If Caitlin Clark posted this exact stat line, 8 points, 4 turnovers, 3 of 12 shooting, it would not just be a talking point. It would be a nationally discussed story for days. Every missed shot would get slowed down and dissected. Every turnover would get clipped and reposted 1,000 times. It would dominate every basketball debate show in the country by the next morning. But when it happens to someone else, the coverage almost completely disappears by the next day's news cycle. That gap, right there, between how one player's rough night gets treated compared to everybody else's, is exactly the double standard worth pointing out, and it's not going away just because certain players are more popular to defend than others. Keep watching, because this game had even more layers to it than just Miles struggling. She wasn't the only Lynx star who had a night to forget. Napheesa Collier, one of the most respected players in the entire league, was held to just 9 points on 10 shots, her lowest scoring output of the season. Between the two of them, Minnesota's 2 biggest offensive weapons combined for just 17 points on a night when their team desperately needed both of them to show up. Meanwhile, Golden State got a genuinely complete team performance to pull this off. 5 different players scored in double figures. Their defense forced 18 turnovers while committing only 6 of their own, turning almost all of those extra possessions directly into points. It wasn't one player having a hero moment. It was a full-team defensive game plan executed nearly perfectly against the top seed in the league. And here's the twist that makes this loss sting even more for Minnesota. This wasn't just any regular season game. The Lynx walked in with a genuine chance to lock up the #1 overall playoff seed that very night. Instead, their 6-game winning streak got snapped, and the door stayed open for Golden State to keep their own long-shot push for the top seed alive. Stick with me just a little longer, because the post-game reaction is worth hearing. Miles' own head coach didn't sugarcoat the performance afterward, but she also didn't panic about it. She talked about wanting exactly these kinds of nights for a rookie, saying it's the disappointment and the film study that come out of a game like this that end up building a player for the postseason grind ahead. That's a coach who sees this as a lesson, not a crisis, and honestly, that's probably the right read on a 23-year-old who's already having a historic first season. So here's where this all lands. Olivia Miles is still a legitimate star. One rough shooting night against an elite defensive game plan doesn't erase an entire rookie season of proving herself. But it does prove a point that deserves saying out loud. When a player who's been fast-tracked into MVP conversations has a genuinely bad night, the conversation should look the same no matter whose name is at the top of the box score. Not louder for one player and quieter for another. If you want more breakdowns that call the numbers exactly as they are, no matter who's involved, make sure you're subscribed, because this conversation is far from finished. Drop a comment telling me if you think this game changes anything about how Olivia Miles gets covered going forward, and I'll see you in the next one.